Hello and welcome back to the Lost Royalty podcast. My name is Michael. I'm the founder and the owner of Lost Royalty, and we've got some great content for you today. Today we're going to talk about perfection and the impossible thing of attaining it. What if the most productive thing that you could believe is something that technically is not true? Perfection is not attainable. Absolutely not. Let's be realistic about that. Perfection is not attainable. But that's exactly why you should strive for it. Just think about anybody's journey, man. And just think about how profound it is when you're on your journey, when you get to your ultimate destination. It's all about the journey. So on our way to perfection is always a journey. It's always going to be something to strive for. You'll never reach that top, so you'll always be on that journey. And once you realize that, when you stop striving for it, then you can be content because that's something that's impossible. Before we actually get into the deepness of this conversation, I want to let you guys know that I'm not a professional anything. I do not have a degree in any kind of psychology. I am just a man with an experience. That's all. Let us redefine, let's not redefine delusion, but let's define what healthy delusion is. There we go. Healthy delusion is not necessarily denial of something that is true or unattainable or anything like that. Healthy delusion is something that you choose to believe that pulls you forward. It is an anchor to your destiny. It's an anchor to the depths of your purpose. So with that being said, we can talk about Michael Jackson. We can talk about Kobe Bryant. We can talk about Michael Jordan. Shout out to the Jordans, man. We can talk about all of them and how they strove for perfection, but never really attained it. But through their work, they shined so much. Kobe Bryant, very skilled basketball player, probably, arguably one of the greatest of all time, for sure. Right up there with Jordan and level, not right up there like that. No, they're like this. I don't see really any distinction between Jordan, Bryant, and LeBron, for real. I mean, we can argue about that all day, but it's just not worth arguing over because they're all great in their own right. But for this sake, we're gonna use Kobe. Kobe had a real tough time, man. Kobe had a tough time because he had, allegations put against him, and that is something he had to be delusional enough to create a second self. And I spoke on this lightly before. Kobe Bryant really could not show up on the court as Kobe Bryant. He had to get in the gym. He had to get into practice mode as the Black Mamba. He made a completely alternate ego. Is that how you say that? Alter ego. There we go. He made an alter ego as the Black Mamba so he can put away Kobe Bryant and all his problems and actually get down to brass tacks, get the job done, get those rings that he got as Black Mamba. That's the delusion we need to strive for perfection. Absolutely 100%. Michael Jackson, man. I mean, I'm fresh off the movie. I saw the movie. You can actually see the change in him from when he was, under Joe Jackson and the Jackson 5, but that transition from Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 or the Jacksons at that point and to the solo artist Michael Jackson. You could see exactly the shift between the last Jackson's album and Off the Wall, which was his first debut solo album. You can hear the sound. He had to become a completely different person. And he was just delusional enough, healthily delusional enough to make that happen, to distinct his old sound from his new sound. I say all this to say healthy delusion is a tool and not a trap. Unhealthy delusion is absolutely a trap, because we can go for days on that. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. What does perfection mean to men? What does it actually mean? If we can strip away the social media, if we can strip away all the noise and the standards of everyday living and in this internet age, it's not about aesthetics or status, man. It's about what's in. It's about what's within you. It's about your mind, your body, your spirit, your character, all the things that make up the frame of you. Perfection is direction, not destination. So, because we know that it's unattainable, it's something that you move towards. It's a spiritual journey, it's a physical journey, and it's always moving forward. It if you just think about the universe and the theories with that, like the universe is always expanding. Perfection is always expanding. You'll never be able to get to the end of it. If you could ask yourself right now, what would the perfect version of yourself do today? Just think about that. Think about the very perfect version that you have in your mind. The most delusional thought that you could have in a perfect version of you. What would he or she be doing today? What would they be doing today? And if you can grasp that idea, if you can visualize that, write it down. Write that vision, make it plain. That's what the Bible says. Write that vision, make it plain, and step into that person. Because if that's your vision of perfection, then chase it. Get to that point. You won't get to perfection without God. You won't get to perfection without a spiritual grounding. Because when you take out the principles of spirituality, if you take out mindfulness, if you take out meditation, if you take out moral grounding, it just becomes ego drive. You have to ground yourself. You have to have a not necessarily a script, but a format to fall back on within your journey towards perfection, when you're striving towards perfection. Because at some point, if you don't have that grounding, it's going to destroy you. That's when the overthinking happens. That's when you start to spiral down a path of procrastination and laziness and a bunch of just things that are detrimental to the path of perfection. When you don't have that spiritual ground, when you can't center yourself back into flow state, then you really just out here just doing whatever on a path towards destruction, for real. And that all falls in line with the purpose of striving for perfection. Are you doing it for your ego? Are you doing it because you want to step into your purpose or become something? So when you strive for anything towards the ego, man, that's such a dangerous slope. And there's a real thin line between ego and purpose. I want to let y'all know there's a thin line between ego and purpose, and you have to be careful to not walk that line. Because once you start taking God out of it, then you are striving for your ego. When you take your spirituality out of it, you're striving for ego. When you don't give thanks, when you don't give praise, when you don't acknowledge where your strength comes from, that's when you fail. That's when God takes off the training wheels of life and he lets you go without knowing how to ride that bike. And we all been there. We took the training wheels off and Pops let us go, and then we fell. Absolutely. When you strive with just ego and you think you're doing all this by yourself without the help of God, without the help of the Creator, without the help of your spirituality, you're going to fail. That's just the law of the world, man. You're going to fail. I know that from 100% experience. I'm not going to get into that. We can get into that into a later episode, but man, I just know for a fact that if you are doing things ego driven, it just never works out. It just never works out. How do you stay grounded during your journey towards perfection. The unattainable perfection. I keep saying perfection like it's a goal that we can grasp. It's not. You'll never be able to do it. And I really want to drive that point home so that, people aren't looking at me crazy, first of all. But no, you'll never be able to grab perfection. But what is it how do you build yourself during this time of striving towards the more perfect you? You have to have non-negotiables. You have to set boundaries in place. You have to stand for something. You have to write that down. You have to frame it. One of the best things that I did during my divorce or going through my separation was to frame my standards. Like literally write a frame, write all the things I stand for inside, and on the outside of it, put all the things that were not conducive to the person that I wanted to be. So say for instance, I put security in my frame. I put insecurity on the outside of my frame. I put anxiousness on the outside of my frame. I put calming, emotional regulation on the inside of my frame. Whenever I'm feeling like I get anxious, I look at my frame and I go back into those feelings. I self-soothe. I go to the gym. I get rid of, anxious feelings by, working out. That's what I do. So once I'm in my frame, I can move forward. That's the basis of striving towards this unattainable goal. You have to have a sound mind and you have to have focus. You have to have laser point focus in order to achieve anything, really, anything. But striving for perfection, honestly, it's a recipe for success. It really is. If you strive for perfection, unattainable perfection, you will be successful. There's literally no way that you won't be successful if you just strive towards your goals that you write down. And like I say, you visualize the perfect person of yourself and then you walk towards that. That's the simplest way that I can put it. I think I've droned on about attaining an unattainable goal for so long, but thank you guys so much for watching, man. So thank you so much for watching. Just a little bit of recap, man. Delusion, healthy delusion is not denial. It is a belief that you choose to believe that pulls you forward towards your goal. Always be in your frame, always be in your mind frame. Try to be so delusional that you create a second self of yourself, because you cannot show up as the same person in every situation. You can't. The father me is not the same me at work. The boyfriend me is not the same person that is a father. So you have to frame these different individuals as you work towards the perfect version of you, if that makes any sense. I don't know how that landed, but I hope it landed for somebody. But thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Michael. I'm with Lost Royalty. You guys have a great day, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.